You mentioned about Balwaan being a bootstrapped company, right? And
Yeah.
of course, there are some trade-offs that you would have had to make. What
Mhm.
were some of those decisions that or trade-offs that you made as a bootstrapped company, which perhaps might have been different if you had like significant external funding earlier?
देखो, in our case, it is a classic case of company where we took funding when we required it. मतलब it is a classic case. How we started as low as 1 lakh rupee. We did some trading of machineries. We took dealership. We made some money and we did a good turnover. Post that turnover, we took a loan. See, there is a business loan of 18-22% because we had the products were profitable, so we took a loan. And as also, if someone from any startup sector, if they have a product company specifically, not a tech company, tech have a different uh, life cycle and curves. But if it is a product company, what my suggestion is, go to debt first. There is a CGTMS loan up to 5 crore at 10% rate of interest, maybe 2% of a fees annually, but it's still 12%. It's cheaper than equity money. Then we have done to CGSS where we got 10 crore of a loan, up to 10 crore for CC limits. Again, they on 10%. There was a time when we stuck. So we had a debt of 5 crore on our balance sheet, but we have an equity of only 1 crore. And that equity was the surplus which we have created through our profits. So that time debt to equity ratio was not favorable to give debt to this company more. And that was a classic time when we took up 1 million of funding from outside to maintain our debt to equity. Then again we raised it. And the next fundraisers happen when we are again stuck with 1 to 2 ratio. You understand it? That it is a classic case where we raised money when we exactly required it. We didn't raise any money earlier, and we have no plans to raise money till the time we do not have a concrete plan to deploy it. Otherwise, we all know how the cycle works.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately it'll lead to your dilution. It'll makes the business more inefficient. But what you're saying is a very important point also that in depending upon the business, in your case, you effectively leverage debt also, right? And then figure out, okay, because equity is ultimately a more costlier source of capital, raise as much equity only as you need to, and not sort of over dilute and uh, have more equity
Yeah,
than you can absorb in the business, basically.
correct. But equity have its own benefits as well as the ratio.
And talk about
What
that,
might
right? Like now that you're a private equity funded company,
yes,
how
yes.
how is that compared to earlier? What is it allowing you to do?
So, among many things, I'll say few things. One thing, we also had that attitude of कर लेंगे देख लेंगे हो जाएगा, right? But once the private equity come in, it's more plan, focus, month by month numbers. They are focusing that we focus on the plan which we have submitted. So that is one thing I really appreciate. When you are ready for that pressure of private equity, go for it because that gives a discipline. Otherwise, already 100 crore business, two brothers are earning more than 10 crore. It's fine. It is sufficient for anyone. But private equity being on your back, they always pushes you. They make you do not waste money experimenting more. But there is a thin line. Sometimes what I feel, private equity players are not risk takers like us being a risk taker, and without risk there is no money. So there is, but we being more risky, right, with this much of capital, that need to be balanced. That balance private equity make one. Second, of course, I told they balance they make. They focus on the focus which we need to focus. So basically, they come up, they nudge us. Plus, they make this company, they make this business to a company, I can say. They focus on plan more. Don't overachieve, don't underachieve. What you have said, achieve that. And that I really appreciate these professionals. That I really appreciate ki na overachieve karo, na under karo. What you have planned, just try to achieve that. Don't get excited when it is over. Oh, you are getting overachievement as you planned. So these are the 3 points. Fourth point, I can say hiring made a lot easier than earlier. People, a good talent, see the profile of a company. A website is not only seen by the customers; it is seen by the customers, your suppliers, your buyers is of course customers, your suppliers, your investors, plus your team members who wanted to join the company. So once you are funded with private equity, you get uh, good credentials. I can say people willing to join you. Plus, as a supplier, you get to benefit from the suppliers as well. Suppliers now credentials are also built around the suppliers, so they also give you credit. So these are the few points I can say to you. After private equity, things changes in a more professional manner. So pressure is real, of course, but it is a good pressure to have if you are ready. So that is what changes in our case.
So the pros outweigh the cons.
No, no cons as in,
Okay. Okay.
but little, but that nothing. It is good
Yeah,
only.
yeah, yeah, of course. No, super. And you've of course at the start also stated your point of view. There is always a debate between whether bootstrapping is better or raising external funding is better, especially at the start. So you're saying if it's a first-time founder, then bootstrap it before it gets to a stage and then probably raise. Whereas if you're second, third-time founder, probably you're more sure about the plans and better off than raising external funding at the start and you can perhaps start big itself and
Yeah,
not make
that's the
that same
best.
mistakes.
Yeah, that's the classic case.